Rumours have led me to an abandoned cabin deep in the Swedish forest. I grabbed my camera, started running, and what I found was beyond my wildest expectations. Is that a newspaper? But this is more like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, if I'm being totally honest. What is that? Deep in the forests of Sweden, there's a story about a cabin that's been left untouched for over a century and a half. There's no trace of it in public records, and no sighting of it on satellite images. Just rumours. Today I'm running deep into the woods to find out if the stories are true, and to see what's left of the forgotten cabin. The cool thing about this abandoned cabin in the woods is that there are no roads that go there. I had a really good look at Google Maps, but I literally could not see any roads. So I started on this trail, and apparently it is about 3.5 kilometers to get there. But as you can see, it's not easy going. We've had a lot of rainfall lately too, so my feet are already really wet. But for an abandoned cabin in the woods, in the middle of the Swedish forest, I think it's going to be worth it. Look at that tree. It's growing almost at a perfect right angle. How often does that happen? Crazy. I was just on my way to what I think is an abandoned cabin, but I just spied in the distance a secluded lake in the middle of the forest. Are we going to go and have a look at it? Of course we are. The birdsong is really beautiful. Whoa. Wow. It's really something. Not really the biggest lake, but it doesn't take away from the natural beauty of the place. if we're going to have time to find out if there's an abandoned cabin in the woods here, I'm going to have to get going before it gets dark. The tracks that I'm following are just like most countries with big game. Sweden has Scandinavian elk and lots of deer, and over the hundreds of years the animals taking the path of least resistance lead to the original creation of the trails, and then humans come along and take advantage of what the animals have created for us, which is good for us. And it's these trails that I'm going to be following to try and see if my friend was right or not, because it was pretty inconclusive evidence from the research I did on Google Maps. Luckily for me, it's pretty beautiful too. Quite the Christmas tree. I don't think that would fit in my house, funnily enough. Look at that guy there. Whew. 20 meters, maybe. Just came out of the forest onto a much wider dirt track, and I see this collection of stones here. These look suspiciously placed here by human hands, as if making a little wall. That looks like evidence of beavers doing their thing. Hidden beneath the moss. Not something I often see in the woods. Since the Scandinavian ice sheet melted at the end of the last ice age around 12,500 years ago, as soon as these lands were habitable, humans started to make their way up from mainland Europe, and there is evidence of human settlements dating back at least 5,000 years that we have found so far. And in these woods, just like the walls we saw before, there is evidence of continuous human habitation dating back at least 2,500 years. If you think back to my first video about the Bronze Age stronghold on the ridge. But this supposedly abandoned cabin is about 150 years old, something like that. So we'll see what we can find. The main tips I got from my running buddy, was as soon as I leave the broader road in the woods and the path becomes much narrower, and I should see the glimpse of the roof. It's the roof that my friend thinks that he's seen, and it does look quite promising. I can see something. What is it? Hold on. Oh my god. I think I can just make out a roof. Look for yourselves, guys. Furniture, a plate, some shoes on the window. You'd think if this was closer to the town, to urban areas, the kids would be here playing and stuff, but is that a fireplace maybe? Oh, it's pretty spooky being here, I must say. I'm half expecting somebody to jump out and scare me. My heart is beating so fast. Hello? I mean, what a strange door. Seen better days. I got a feeling that the top on that bench might lift off, but I don't know if I dare look inside. No. You're stuck. Oh, this little cupboard. Oh, literally empty. Oh, those are the shoes there. They look like... Yeah, very nice red, but they look very old. Not quite. See the design of them. Just gonna take one quick look at this place over here. I can't leave without seeing what it is. It looks like a work shed. Oh, there you see. That looks quite a modern toilet. Is that a newspaper? What? There you go. Norrköping's newspaper, 7th of June 1969. Can really imagine some old guy just being in there working, fixing stuff in 1969. Oh. A century and a half ago, a family built a life here. A stoic father, a proud mother, children's laughter echoing through the pines I just traversed to get here. Now only silence keeps them company, and yet the forest hasn't forgotten. Maybe that's the lesson, that nothing truly disappears. Everything merely changes form, becomes part of the wilderness once again. If my content resonates with you in any way, listen closely when you wander. The world still remembers those who dared to belong to it. Maybe it's your turn now to find your own wilderness. I was expecting Goldilocks and the Three Bears, but this is more like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, if I'm being totally honest. It is a little bit spooky. So I'm thinking that before it gets dark, I might want to run back.